When we talk about agile, we start with talking about agile is an approach, and there's an agile approach, there's a traditional approach, and we have all these different approach. If the project scope is fixed, we will use traditional approach. If the project scope is changing, we will try to use agile approach, right? That's what we discuss. But actually, when you look at it in a way to help you answer the question and help you manage the projects, agile is a mindset. Okay, it's not about doing agile. Okay, it's about becoming agile. Okay, see what is the difference here? See, doing agile means that you have understood something, you have understood the frameworks, you have seen the templates, the way it happens and everything, and you are applying that in your project. Okay, more of like a follower. Okay, you are following something that has been taught to you. So these are the framework, this is how you should do it, and you go ahead and do it. Divide your project into releases into iterations that really stand up. You will have user stories, you will have tasks, all those things you have understood and you have applied it in your project. Okay, that would be more like doing agile. Okay, which is good, we should do it, but it is more about becoming agile. What do we mean by becoming agile? Becoming agile means in your thought process, you have become agile. You have become flexible. You have become fast. You have understood that there will be a lot of changes. So become, you have become welcoming to change. Right? So you want to be fast. You want to be flexible. And that's how you welcome the changes. And very quickly, you want to do the work. That's how you become agile. Okay, so the focus is not on doing agile, but the focus is on becoming agile. The moment you understand this is the moment you will understand how to study, what to ignore, what not to ignore, what is important. Everything would be clear this way. Okay, so that is the first part. Agile is a mindset, and we have to become agile. How do we become agile? First, it is defined by certain values. Okay, let's go back to uh, year 2001. Think about where you were in 2001, right? Probably in college, probably in school, depending on your age and everything, right? Uh, at that point of time, in 2001, there were a lot of programming knowledge, a lot of discussion about computers and possibilities and this and that. A lot of things were happening, okay? And it was just 5 to 6 years or a little bit more than that the computers have had started and everybody was using it. Mobile phones were coming in, and a lot of software things were happening, right? But the projects were still happening through traditional approach that we will initiate, we will plan, we'll execute, we'll monitor and control, and we'll close, right? So the work that is happening, the environment around us, if I draw a circle and call this as a project, then the environment around the project was changing continuously. With a lot of technological changes, new possibilities were arising. Okay, and we know now that it is 25 years to that, we know what kind of possibilities were there, and we have so many things, right? You and I, we can sit together and we can discuss, me being in India, you being in some other country, and we are still able to connect and have a lecture and have a session going on PMP is a gift from pretty changes in the technology, right? So these technologies were changing immensely, right? The environment was changing continuously, but the project was still being managed in a sequential manner. That first we will initiate, then we will plan, then we will execute, then we will check whether everything is fine or not, and then we will close it. Right? That was the best way understood. Okay, in 1983 or something, PMP came into picture, and in 1969 or something, PMI was there. Right, so they have started standardizing the project, and this is what they had come up with. Everybody was following these things. Now the problem with changing environment conditions and still following this approach is that you would be committed to your entire project when you're planning. Okay, if you're doing a construction project, you can commit to it. You can say that there will be 10 floors, 20 floors, 30 floors, and let's do it. If you are doing a manufacturing machine, if you are building a manufacturing plant, if you are building a power plant, if you are doing anything else where things are clear, not a lot is changing continuously, you will be able to commit yourselves to the entire project. But when you are talking about technology, when you are talking about research and development, when you are talking about innovation, it is very difficult to plan everything in the beginning itself because you would not be aware of what kind of changes might come. And even if you say that, okay, let's commit it, you will have to wait for a lot of information for a longer period of time before you can start execution. And if you say that, okay, I cannot delay my execution, I need to get into my execution, I cannot continuously be delaying it, then you will have to start. And if you start with less information, with changing conditions and everything, the product that would come into the market would not be a good quality product. Right. So this is what was happening in 2001 and 2002, or early late 90s and early 2000s. Right. This was the problem everybody was facing whenever they were building a software product. Okay, specifically focusing on software product. So everybody was facing a problem. The good thing about everybody facing a problem is that everybody together works on a solution. Right? We all are a living example of that. Right? When COVID-19 happened, everybody faced a problem in the world and everybody worked on the solution together. Same thing happened with Agile also. Because everybody who was doing the project was facing a problem, everybody was looking for solution. Okay, and there were solutions available. Multiple people were working on multiple different solutions. Okay, and they had decided some frameworks, they had some few things, and they started working on software development, right? So somebody was working on Scrum as a framework, right? Somebody was working on something else. There were a group of people who said that, okay, so many things are happening, so many people are working together, we need to standardize this. So just like PMI standardized the project management, some 17 people thought that we need to standardize Agile as well. Okay, and they met on a team building session, like somewhere outside. Okay, they went for a picnic or a party and they met. And at that point of time, they said we need to standardize the way of software development, because the way we are developing software is old, is classic, is traditional, is waterfall, and it is not helping us. We are facing a lot of problem by focusing on plan, by focusing on processes, by focusing on following the sequence. We are facing a lot of problem. Right? So they said we need to become a little bit more agile with what we are doing with software development. We cannot say that this is the process and this is what we'll follow. We cannot say that this is the sequence and this is what we will follow. Because my environment is changing continuously, so we need to become a little bit more agile. We need to become a little bit more flexible. Okay, this is what they thought. All right. And they said we need to become a little bit more agile, and they called themselves Agile Alliance. Okay. And they said that in order to figure out how we should do all those things, there has to be certain values, there has to be certain principles that we have to follow. See, in our daily life also, right? We have certain values, personal values, that I will not go this path, I will not go that path, I will not do this, I'll not do that, I'll not be stealing, I'll not be beating someone up, right? There are certain values that we follow. Same thing was decided by this Agile Alliance also, and they said that if whenever we are developing software, we will follow certain values. Okay, and they defined all these things by four values in project in software development. They said we will focus on people interaction, we will focus on changes, we will focus on customer, we will focus on everything which is related to agile and not something which is related to fixed way of working, sequential way of working. Okay, so they came up with four values. And these values were good. People liked it. People believed that, yes, it is helping us. And then 1 year later, these people, the Agile Alliance, met again, and they said that in order to ensure that everybody understands what we are trying to say, there has to be some principles also. So they came up with 12 principles that guides the way of software development. Okay, so agile is a mindset that is defined by these four values and guided by these 12 principles. Okay, we'll have a look at it. Don't Let's not jump ahead of our case. So we'll have a look at the values and principles also. But for now, let's understand that agile is a mindset and how and where we came up with agile. Okay, so agile was initially decided and discussed because of software development, the issues that were being faced in developing software. That's how agile came into picture. And they said that if you want to become an agile is a mindset and it is defined by four values and it is guided by 12 principles. And then they said that whatever frameworks, whatever things that we do, whatever things we practice would help us develop this mindset further. So agile is developed with practice. So they said, let's first understand the values, let's understand the principles, and then let's start practicing those things, and automatically it will get developed. Right? So initially it was done for software development. Then the way the projects are happening, if you look at the world across around you, you will see that 60 to 65% of the projects happen in agile fashion, or software industry does the 60 to 65% of the projects that are happening across the world. Right? Now, if that's happening, so which means the software projects that are happening are also using agile approach. That's when PMI also started using agile in PMP exam. Okay, initially it was a little bit less, and then slowly it all started happening. The more and more technology projects started happening, the more and more they changed the PMBOK guide, they changed the approach, and everything changed. Okay, and that's when the PMBOK 7 also came into picture in 2021. Okay, PMBOK is your project management body of knowledge guide. So when they released the seventh edition, they said that we are moving from structure or process based project management to principles based project management. Okay. Now, if you were wondering if at all that we have completed 6 days and we have not discussed about any processes, we have not discussed about any structure, we have just discussed about the mindset, how it happens, and everything. It is deliberately done because now we have moved out from all those processes and structures and documents and other part. Right? Now it is principles based project management. Okay, it says that as a project manager, if you understand these principles, you will be able to manage the project with any practices. Practices would be available. Those are fixed things. You can search for it, you can look for it, you can get trained in it, and you will be able to apply it. But principles are something that gets developed with time. And that's when PMP exam also changed. That's when everything changed. And that's when we all started learning a little bit more about Agile. Okay, so that is the story of Agile, how Agile came into the world and how Agile came into PMP. Right now, the situation is such that you will see 60 to 65% questions on Agile in your PMP exam as well. Okay, because the exam is also principles driven, Agile is also principle driven. So project management is also principle driven. So you cannot exactly spot that, yes, this is definitely an Agile question, unless until they mention that you are managing an Agile project. But still, it will still be about the principles of project management, which will be tested through Agile approach project management questions. Okay? Hence, understanding what that mindset is, understanding what the practices are, is very, very important to be able to solve these questions. The good thing is that with introduction to Agile, although if you have not done the Agile project, you will find it a little bit counterintuitive. But with introduction to Agile, the exam has also become a little bit easier. Okay? It's not easy, it has just become easier from how difficult it was earlier. Because earlier it was about 49 processes, documents, templates, tools, and this and that. So you had to memorize a lot of things. Now you don't need to memorize anything. Everything is logical, and that is why I'm calling it easier than the earlier exam. Because all you need to do is understand the principles, understand the mindset, and start applying it. Know some common concepts so that you can understand and comprehend the situations well, scenarios well that are given in the question, and you can apply those mindset. Okay, so that's how Agile came into picture. That's how we will start working with Agile, and that is why we need to work with Agile. Is it clear, everyone, on your mind why we study for Agile? What brought Agile in the world? What brought Agile in PMI and PMP? Everything clear? Yeah. Okay. So now let us start reviewing whatever we have seen earlier, and then we will start diving deep further into Agile. At the end of the day, you should feel very comfortable that yes, I have understood the principles and mindset of the Agile. All I need to do is work on certain concepts. And at the end of the day, I will help you with 100 concepts in Agile, okay, that you can study for. And with this video and these 100 concepts, you will be able to answer all those 60-65% questions. Something would go wrong here and there, that we will you will be able to go through the explanations, and if we have a discussion, then that also will get clear. Okay, that is why we are talking about 31st October as your exam date, because 60 to 65% of your questions of your exam would be covered within 1 week or two. Okay, and then in the remaining 1 week or two, you will be finishing the remaining 30-40%, and you can take the exam. Okay, so let us start with what I'm talking about. So when we talked about Agile, we said Agile is an approach that would be used when the projects are complex, when the situation is complex, when the environment is changing continuously. Right. So if my environment is changing continuously, I need to make my things simple. I need to work in a way that I am very clear. See, if your environment is also changing continuously and you also start changing continuously, right, it will be a chaos. We will not be able to handle things. So, if my environment is changing continuously, I need to hold on to something fixed. Right? I need to hold on to something and say that, okay, I will not move away from here because my environment is changing continuously. It will take me away from along with it as well. What is that? That is the mindset, that is the value, and that is the principle which you hold on to in Agile to ensure that the environment doesn't take you away with it. Because environment will keep on changing. You have decided that, okay, I will focus on few things which will help me in managing the project. So when we started discussing all those things, we said that in Agile, typically what happens is there's a role called product owner. Okay. This person is a bridge between the business side and the technical side of it. Okay. So this person is a bridge between business side and the technical side of the work. What does that mean? It means that the product owner would talk to the customer, would talk to the management, would talk to anybody who is from the business side, who is looking at what would be the benefit of the product, what kind of values we have to deliver through the product. And that is all that they are continuously discussing. They are continuously discussing about the business. Okay. So the product owner will talk to this business side of people and provide this input, whatever the product owner has understood, to the technical team. Okay, that is why it's a bridge between business and technical. We'll get the job done from the technical and deliver it to the business. So product owner gains requirement from business, understands what do they need, and provides that information to the development team. The development team would do what they are supposed to do. They are supposed to develop, right? So product owner will bring the requirements, provide it to the team, and the team will develop the product. Very simple. Okay. Now business is always looking at market research, new technologies, new possibilities. AI is there, artificial intelligence is there, machine learning is there, new technologies coming up, new avenues are coming up, new areas of development are coming up. So they are always looking at that, always looking at innovative things and what can they do in order to increase their market, increase their business. Right? So they are looking for business development. right? They would come up with the projects that we had discussed, right? They'll create the business case, they'll create the benefit management plan, and they will decide the products that they want to do. Right? Those products that they want to develop, which would be developed in these changing conditions where the scope is not clear, would be done through Agile. And there will be a role of product owner who will convert those requirements into a certain way which can be given to the development team, and development team can develop those products. What is that certain way in which the product owner converts? It's user story, right? So the product owner will discuss with the business team, understand their requirements, convert it into user story, provide it to the development team. Development team will look at the user story. They will understand what the requirement is and deliver it to the product owner back. Product owner will have a look at it. They will try to understand, okay, everything is done or not, and they will accept or reject the product. If they have accepted it, they will add it to the product increment and give it to the business. If they have rejected it, the team will redevelop it, make some changes, and again show it to the product owner. They will accept it and they'll deliver it to the business. Right? Now, because the scope is changing continuously, so number of user stories will be continuously added. The team will continuously be completing the product, and one by one, the product owner will continuously be delivering it to the business. Now, the business will decide whether they want to go into the market now or do they want to go into the market with 10, 20, 30 features, right? Which is what is called release. So, business will decide when they want to release a particular version of a product. 3 months later, 6 months later, during Christmas, during any other festival, or during New Year, what is it that they want to do? When do they want to release the product? That's what they will decide. Once they have decided that this is what we want to do, all these user stories, all those functionality would be discussed with the development team. Development team will keep on delivering it. Product owner will keep on checking everything. Once all the set of products are ready and the date has arrived on which it is to be released, the product would be released into the market. Okay, that's exactly how agile work happens. Product owner will take the requirements from business, convert it into user stories, provide it to development team. Development team will read these stories, which is explained in one or two sentences at max. They'll read their story, they'll understand what is to be developed, and continuously collaborating and start developing it. Once they have developed it, they'll deliver it to the product owner. Product owner will deliver it to the business. Okay, very, very simple interaction. Right. Now, although the process is very simple, and there's a reason why we have kept the process simple, because our environment is changing continuously. Now, if my environment is changing continuously, I'll have to keep my processes simple. Right? So that's why we have kept our process simple, so that the process is not complicated. Let the product be complicated. Let the environment be complicated. The things are kept simple. Now, if your environment is complicated, although the process is simple, but the way things would be developed within this simple process would also be a little bit complicated. And for that reason, there is another role of a servant leader who is also a facilitator. What would a facilitator do? They will facilitate. Right? So they will facilitate this interaction that is happening between product owner and development team, between business and product owner. So they are omnipresent. They are present everywhere. Okay, although whether in physical or in spirit, but they are always present. So they understand everything that is happening. They have an eye on everything that is happening, and they understand. Basically, they have a good understanding of what is happening in the project, and they are helping the product owner understand the requirement and convert it into user stories. They are helping the team in developing the product. They are helping both of them if there are any conflict between both of them. Okay, so they lead like a servant. That's why they are called as servant leader. Okay, servant is not a bad thing. We should not look at a bad conceptual that, okay, what is servant and this and that. Servant is like you're serving something. Okay, so you serve your team as a leader. That's why you are called as servant leader. Okay, which is also called facilitator. Now, this servant leader is your project manager. Okay, It could be a project lead, it could be a team lead, it could be a project manager, it could be a scrum master, it could be agile coach. Designation could be anything. The role is of a servant leader in agile, okay, who helps ensure that this process of converting the requirements to product and delivering the product for requirement is running smooth. Okay, so these three roles are there, which helps us in managing the project. Okay, yes, Sundar, please, you raised hand.
No, got it clarified. I was about to ask about this role of a project manager or what would be. And even in this case, the development team would be directly interacting with the product owner only. Correct. It is
Yes,
not like that. It has to be through project because generally in traditional what
doesn't
we are
have to
following
be.
from a manufacturing
Doesn't have to
industry.
be. We will try to make things simple. Okay, as simple as possible. So when you hear from the horse's mouth, it is better. Even the business, the customers can also be present when the product owner is having a discussion with the development team. There's nothing wrong in that.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Now we will have a look at the responsibilities of these three roles in agile project management. Okay, we have discussed the roles. The role is product owner, servant leader, and development team. Now we will try to understand what are the responsibilities. What does a product owner do? What does a servant leader do? And what does the development team do in the product, in the project, at a very broader level, which will give you a great idea of how agile projects are managed. After that, whether you want to do it through iteration-based agile, flow-based agile, Kanban, Scrum, anything else doesn't matter. What matters is what we are going to see next, which is the responsibility of these three roles. Okay. The first one is a product owner. As the name suggests, they own the product. Okay, which means they are responsible to ensure that the product that is being built provides the maximum value to the customer. It's the best product ever. That's it. Okay. So what is their responsibility? One is to maximize the value of the product by choosing and prioritizing the product features. Okay. So they are discussing with the customer continuously. They are trying to understand what could be the features of the product. Okay. And then they're saying, okay, my objective is to maximize the value. So which are those features that I must build first in order to maximize the value? Let's try to understand through a simple example. Okay. I hope that all of you have used Amazon e-commerce application. If not Amazon, maybe Alibaba, maybe Flipkart, maybe anything else. But it is an e-commerce platform where you go to internet and you can purchase the product that you want. Earlier, we were going to supermarket, we were going to shops. We still go for fun, but now what we do is we just pick up our mobile phone and we order whatever we want to order, and that is the platform that I'm trying to talk about. Okay. Now, when the product owner is discussing with the customer about Amazon as a software product, okay, they are not sure about what all things need to be added to this product. But there are certain things that they're clear with, and they have discussed the requirement with the product owner. So now the requirements are that there should be a way for the customer to purchase the product. Okay. So one is purchase the product. Right. The second is there has to be some product listed. So list of product. Otherwise, what will the customer purchase? Okay. And then there needs to be something unique so that you can link this product to the user. Okay. Which means login page. There has to be a login page wherein customer can add their email ID, which is unique. And the system would know that, okay, this email ID has ordered these products. And this is how it will match it. For that email ID, there will be an address where they will deliver it. Right. So this is what the discussion was. And these are the three features that product owner has identified. Right. Now, there can be multiple other features also. That if there are 1,000 products, then the customer will not scroll to go to their product. They should be able to filter it. They should be able to sort it. They should be able to search it. Right. So you will add some more functionality of filter, of sorting, of search, right? Then there is an option that if they purchase the product, they should be able to give a feedback. So there should be some feature, there should be some input form, some field where they can give a feedback, right? We discussed about one feature called wish list. So they want the wish list also as a feature, right? So there are multiple features that product owner has discussed with the customer, and every single feature of them is valuable, right? If you give filter, sort, and search, they will be able to they don't need to look at 1,000 or 10,000 or million of the products also. They just need to search what they want and it will display on the screen and they can select and they can purchase it, right? Feedback, very, very valuable, so that if I give a feedback, somebody else would know whether I have to purchase this product or not. Wish list is also good because if I like something and I don't have the money or don't have the willingness to purchase now, I should be able to purchase later. So I will keep it as my wish list and I'll purchase it later. Right? So every single feature that you discuss is valuable. It will add value to the product. But the point is, which of these would add the maximum value? Right? So in this list, everyone, this is purchase the product, list of product, login page, filter, sort, search, feedback, and wish list. Which one do you think is the maximum value feature? Which feature will provide the maximum value to this product of Amazon e-commerce platform? Yes, anyone? I mean, it's not a test; it is just a discussion. Which one do you think is the highest value?
Feedback.
Feedback. Okay. What else? Anyone?
Search.
Search as a functionality because it saves time. Feedback is the functionality which helps us understand about the product. Yes, anyone else? All these features. Purchase the product, which means payment gateway. List of the product as a feature. Login page as a feature. Filter, sort, search. Yes, yes, please, everyone. There has to be something that you think that okay, this is more valuable. You don't worry about being right or wrong. We're just taking the opinions.
List of the product.
List of product. Okay. Yes, anyone? Anything else? Let's take one more. Please participate. It is important.
Login. The login page.
Login page. Okay. So let's try to understand what would happen. Okay. I am trying to build an application where I would provide an option for people to purchase the product. What is the most important thing? The most important thing that there should be some product to sell. Right? If you want to sell something, you should have that. Okay. So the product should be there. So this becomes the most valuable feature for that product. There has to be a list of product. Right? Unless until there's a list of product, filter, sort, and search will not work. If there's no product, what kind of feedback will you give? What will you do with the wish list? What will you do with the payment gateway? And what will you do with login page? Right? There has to be some product to sell. So what will the product owner say? That this becomes our topmost priority because this is the highest value feature. Right? Then they will say, okay, let's have the product on our website. Let them enter their mobile phone number. Okay, let's not have the login page. Let's not have the payment gateway also. Let them just come to the website, see the product, select the product, and give us their mobile number, email, or anything. We will reach out to them. We will talk to them. We will deliver the product to their house. Okay, and then we'll take the money from them in cash. Is it possible? Yes. Is it doable? Yes. Will it be very helpful? Probably not. But is it the most valuable thing? Yes, because I want to start selling as early as possible. So that's what the product owner will do. Okay. Then what would happen is the customer would say, oh, it's taking a lot of time. Team will say, okay, we can do something else. So what they will do, they will say, okay, let us have a payment gateway as our second most priority. Okay, because we don't want to wait for cash because we deliver after 7 days, 14 days, and then they pay us the cash. So those 7 days and 14 days is lost. So let's take some advance payment. Okay, that's what the business would say. That's what the product owner will understand, and they will say, okay, let's keep this as a second priority. At that point in time, the team will come into picture and they will say that if I want to keep a payment gateway, then I need to have some unique number, some uniqueness attached to it. Name cannot be that unique thing. So let's give a login page as well so that we can get a phone number and an email ID, which will be unique and we can link it with three. So because of technical dependencies, login page would become the second priority and third would be the payment gateway. Right? That's how the product owner will maximize the value. And then they will add search, filter, sort, feedback, wish list, whatever is helping, whatever the feedback you are receiving from the users. And that way you will be able to continuously develop your product better and better and better. Right? But these three would be your top priority. Now, why is this the top priority and how does it maximize the value? Just let's imagine that we have kept filter, sort, or search as our first priority. So what did the team do? Team created a search functionality in the tab, and which is working perfectly fine. But there's nothing to search. They added filter. Okay, they added sorting. All those things are available, but there's no product to search. There's a feedback tab also where people can give the feedback. There's a wish list feature also where people can just select on this heart and select as a wish list. Right? So a lot of things are there. In terms of the product, you have a software, you can install it in your system. You can do a lot of things, right? But you cannot give it to the customer. Customer cannot purchase product from that. Okay. So you may have worked for 6 months on this and all these features look good, feel good. These are absolutely with artificial intelligence and everything, but it is of no use. Zero value. Why? Because ultimately the product needs to sell. Right? The application is to sell the product, not to showcase how good we are technically. Right? That's where the product owner comes into picture. They will decide those features which are the topmost priority, which would help gain the maximum value out of the product. And that's why they need to prioritize the product features. So whenever they discuss with the business, whenever they try to understand the feature, this is what they do. They prioritize the features so that they can maximize the value. That is one of the most important and single most important role from the product owners, responsibility from the product owner's side. Then what do? They manage the product backlog and regularly update it. What is a product backlog? Is a list of prioritized features. Right? So whenever they are prioritizing the features, what are they doing? They are updating it in the product backlog. They are managing it and continuously updating and prioritizing the backlog so that the team, whenever they look at the product backlog, whenever they look at something which is on the top, they know that this is our top most highest valuable feature. If you look at my background, this is how you create a product backlog. Right? As you can see, all the sticky notes, right, stuck together. Whatever sticky note is on the top, that is the topmost feature that we should work on. Okay, you can use different colors of sticky notes to decide technical things, marketing things, something else, right? You can decide all those things. So you can play around with it, but this is how we build a product backlog. The product owner, in my case, which is me in my team, okay, I will be updating all these things, having a discussion with my team and updating and selecting the prioritization. Whenever I think that we should do something else also, I'll come up, I'll write it on the sticky note, I'll go to the product backlog and I'll make the change in the order if I think that something else is higher priority and something else is not. Team will be able to discuss, of course, on the technical part, and they'll be able to suggest me that, okay, in order to do this, we need something else also. Then I will write another user story and pick it up and paste it. Right? That's how me as a product owner would be able to maintain the product backlog. Okay, so product owner understands the feature required, they prioritize the feature, and where do they prioritize it? In a product backlog. The best way of doing it is through sticky notes on the wall wherever the team members are working. If you don't have a co-located team, if you don't have the luxury of a co-located team, then you'll be working with remote teams. And when you're working with the remote teams, Then you can simulate all these things through a software. Okay, and I was talking about a software that you can use in order to learn a little bit more about project management. Okay, I would suggest that you search about Asana as a tool, because they provide free access to this software for indefinite amount of time, unless and until you are adding a team and adding more than, I think, 10 members or so. Right? So you can use Asana as a tool, you can play around with it, you can learn about it, and you will see how it actually happens. We will also do a session where I will go through Asana, and you must have heard about Jira, you must have heard about Microsoft Project. So I'll just give you a brief of all these three tools. We will have a session so that you understand, okay, exactly how it happens. The more you're able to visualize, the more you will be able to manage the project better. That's it. Okay. So for now, you can search for Asana. Okay, ASANA, and you should be able to understand more about it. Not now, later whenever you have time. Okay. So what does the product owner do? Just a second. My battery is low. Just a second. Yes. So what does the product owner do? Understand the feature, prioritize that to maximize the value in a product backlog, and keep updating the product backlog, keep prioritizing the product backlog. Then they also share the understanding about the values with everybody. Okay, so whatever values that the business, the customer, the management wants to deliver to their users, okay, it should be known to the team also, because they are the liaison between the business and the team. It's they're in between, so they understand the business side and they understand the technical side both. Okay, so they are in the best position to ensure that whatever is in the mind of business people should be in the mind of technical team as well. Okay, so they ensure the shared understanding. Then they also provide something called acceptance criteria. See, when the team develops the product, okay, develops the feature, whatever is required and whatever has been asked by, whatever is mentioned in the product backlog, uh, how would the team know that they have done everything that is required? Okay, so when the product owner provides a user story, they also provide something called acceptance criteria, which means that if you meet these things 1, 2, 3, and 4, I will accept the product. Okay, so when they build that Amazon application that we were talking about, that application acceptance criteria would also be explained in simple English language. That when I am not logged in into the system, if I enter my email and if I enter a unique password, I should be able to get into the system, see the product, select the product, and purchase the product. So if you give me a system with which I can do all these things, enter my email, enter my password, see the product, select the product, and purchase the product, then your job is done. Right? So very simple, just like user stories are explained in simple English, the acceptance criteria is also explained in simple English. Everybody would read that and understand it. Team would also understand it, that yes, whatever I do, whatever technology, whatever programming language, whatever framework and everything that I use, ultimately, if my product owner is able to log into the system, select the product and purchase the product, my job is done. Right? So that is what acceptance criteria is. What is the criteria based on which whatever the team has completed will be accepted by the product owner? So if the product owner is saying that I will accept it, they should provide the criteria. Okay, the team will prepare their own tests according to this criteria. Okay, but that is the team's responsibility. We are not bothered about that now. Product owner would also determine if the product deliveries meet the requirements. See, not only providing the criteria, it will be a little bit open loop, right? That I told you that do this, and I'm not checking whether you have done it or not. Right? So, as a product owner, the product owner will give that to the team, the acceptance criteria to the team. And once the team develops that acceptance criteria, the product owner will also check whether whatever the team has done meets all the requirement or not. Product owner would also be engaging the external project stakeholders, right? The business side of people. Customers, any partners of the customers, any users, they would be discussing with them and they'll keep them engaged. They'll keep them aware of what is happening in the project so that they can manage the expectations. And one more responsibility is that they can attend all the planning meetings that happen in the Agile, any review meeting, any retrospectives that happen in the Agile project, they can attend that. Planning meeting means planning for your release, planning for the iteration, or planning for the day, right? On how you are going to manage the product. Reviews means once the team delivers something, completes something, they'll be able to review it. And retrospective means that you are meeting with the team is sitting together, and they are thinking how can they improve much better in the next iteration or next week. Okay, that is what retrospective is, a meeting to discuss how can we improve. Review is a meeting to check the product. Planning meeting is a meeting to plan how to develop the product. Okay, all these terms that I have put a circle to are the terms that you should know because you will see these terms in the question. Okay, and at the end of today's discussion, as I told you, we will be talking about 100 agile concept. Not talking about, I'll share you a video, okay, of 100 agile concepts, which you can go through and you will understand all these concepts a little bit better and which will cover the whole part of it. Today we are discussing about the mindset. You will go through the concepts and everything will be covered. If there is anything left, then of course we can have a discussion. Right? So this is the product owner's responsibility. Is it clear, everyone? Are you able to visualize what a product owner does in Agile project?
Just one question. Is retrospective is kind of brainstorming?
See, brainstorming is a technique. Okay, you can do it anywhere. While you are planning, you sit with the team and you discuss, right? Whatever is in my brain, whatever is in your brain, whatever is in somebody else's brain, we are putting it all together, we are putting it all out, and then we are discussing. That's why it is called brainstorming. So it is a technique that can be used anywhere. So in the meetings, in the reviews, in the retrospective, we can have a brainstorming. There's nothing wrong. Okay. So brainstorming is a technique,
Just one.
and retrospective is a type of meeting where brainstorming can be used. Yes, Himadri, please.
Yeah, this is regarding, say, software-related example for, say, any development of web page and other things. So, if we consider, say, traditional some projects which also involves, say, agile technique and all. So, something that sort of any example just to relate about that product owner's responsibility towards the feature selection, how the product feature should
Which industry you talked about that you need example?
For example, any say something which needs, say for example, any product which needs frequent changes, say even
WhatsApp.
hardware of any mobile hardware sort of thing.
Yeah,
So once we start the development and all, maybe some features will need some changes and all. If something has happened, so such features and other things. Is this product owner only decide on those features, how the product specifications should be, or somebody else also will contribute into that?
Of course, a lot of people would contribute. Okay, one person cannot decide and should not decide. We have discussed, I think, a little bit on that. The decision should always be participatory. Okay, one person cannot decide. But ultimately, finalizing it and entering it in the backlog and ensuring that it is getting done is the responsibility of product owner. So there will be a lot of people discussing. Let us say there is a launch of a new car model. Okay, there's a new launch. That is also an innovative product. We are doing it for the first time. It's a new model altogether. Right? There will be many new things that will be done. And while the design and research and development is happening, nobody is sure of what all things would be added. So there would be a person who is always gathering feedback from the users, gathering feedback from the dealers, gathering feedback from somebody else, and understanding what could be the requirement. Okay, and then there will be a brainstorming session, there will be a discussion, and all these features would be finalized. Once it is finalized, the product owner will be able to manage it through a product backlog. That once the features are finalized, they'll say, okay, these are the things that are required. Then the product owner will say, okay, which feature would be the top priority, which one feature will not be a top priority. They will decide all those things and discuss with the team so that team can start building those things. Okay, so they will manage it. Decision, I mean, they're not taking the decision of what should be done. It is collaboratively done with the customer, with the business side.
Okay.
Okay. Was that example you're looking at?
Yeah, that sort of. Actually, I was a bit confused that product features, if the product owner is, say, prioritizing and also taking calls on that. So, how will it be? How many people really, or how the things would be in totality, how the things would be taken care of?
There would be a
That's
lot of discussions. When we say that the product owner will discuss with the business side of it, okay, there will be a lot of discussion with the customer, with the stakeholders, with the management, a lot of discussions, a lot of meetings to decide which all features are required, what all values are to be delivered. Okay, the product owner's job would be to convert these requirements into user stories and provide it to the team. Right? They will be responsible for discussing and analyzing out of all the user stories that that has been decided, which user story is a top priority. Okay, they will finalize it, they'll check with the customer, they can do all those things. And the user stories will then be provided to the team, which the team will develop. Okay.
So features is not decision on features is not part of actually only the product owner. Product owner only prioritize
and it could be, but typically in projects, no decision is taken alone. Okay, so anywhere, and you would have solved a lot of PMP questions also in such a way where the option says project manager decides, or project manager tells, or sponsor decides, or sponsor provides, or you ask the sponsor what should be done. One person does not take decision. Collaborative decision is the best way to take decisions in the project. It will always happen through a meeting where things will be decided and then it will be moved ahead. Analysis, reporting, discussing, managing something, those things can be done with individual responsibilities. But decision should always be participatory.
Understood.
Yes, Shabaz, you raise hand, please.
Yes, thank you, Amit. I think I just want to have my understanding very clear.
Yes, please.
I mean, in traditional project, it is the project manager responsibility to collect the requirements and make sure.
Plus team.
Yes, yes.
There will be a project management team as well who will collect the requirements.
I mean, project manager, of course, will always collaborate with the team.
Yes.
But the main central guy who's basically kind of is there.
Yes.
And then, and here in the Agile, it is actually the same job is actually done by the product owner, who's actually responsible.
Those responsibilities are carried out by a different role called product owner. Yes.
Yes. Okay. That means collecting the requirements and prioritizing. And then when it comes to how to complete those requirements, then of course it's a discussion within the execution team.
Team itself. Yes, nobody else gets involved, not even the project manager, unless and until they see any problem happening. Okay, so team will be given the freedom to decide collectively how to do it, and which we are going to discuss next.
Yes, thank you.
Everyone else clear? Are you able to visualize what the role of product owner is? Because once you are clear with all these things, next two slides also, then you will be able to clear with many things in terms of your mindset. Okay, that's why I'm pausing, stopping, and checking with all of you whether it is clear. If not, please do stop me. Please do ask questions. Okay, so let's move to the next role, which is of a
Amit, sorry, previous slide, please.
Yeah.
Even this managing the product backlog, everything will be a team discussion, but the ownership will be lying with the product owner or the responsibility of that, whatever that document or whatever it is.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. As many as possible, as much as possible, as many times as possible, we will collaborate. We will try to involve people because team is a diverse set of people. We should take the advantage of that.
Okay.
Great. So now we will talk about the responsibilities of development team. In a very simple sentence, their responsibility is to develop the product. Okay, whatever user stories, whatever features, whatever functionalities that product owner has decided as a priority, they should be able to do that. Okay, that's the responsibility. So what is the responsibility? Is to build the product increment. What is an increment? The small part of the product, one user story or two user stories, one feature or two features is a part of increment, right? In terms of increment, one by one, we'll keep on adding everything and the entire product would be ready. That's what the development team does. Then update information radiator. What is an information radiator? Information radiator is kind of a dashboard, which is typically on the wall wherever your team members are sitting. Okay, so the wall will have the product backlog. It will also have some reports. It will also have some progress. Okay, so if I shift a little bit towards the right, and you can see towards my right, right, you would see some pages also there. Right, so that is basically a report of what is happening. What has the team completed? What did the team complete last week? What did the team complete a week before that? What did we do in the month before that? Right. So all those things would be updated by the team itself. Okay, so team does the work, goes to the wall and updates whatever they have done. If they have to move one user story to a next another part and saying, okay, we have picked up this user story and we are doing it next, they'll pick it up and they'll just move it next. Right? If they have to update on the report, they'll go to the report and they'll say that yes, this is also that we have completed. So in this week we completed 3 user stories. In this week we completed 20 story points. Whatever they need to update, they'll update on the information radiator. They are doing the work, so they are in the best position to update the information radiator as well. That is their second responsibility. Third is that they self-organize the working process within an iteration. Okay, so now there is not a process which is handed over to them. What happens in traditional? Because we have been doing same projects multiple times before, we can have a set process and we can handle that process over to the teams and say that, okay, this is the process that we have decided that should be followed, and the team will follow that process. Okay, although of course they have the freedom and they know how to do the work and everything is there at the local level, but the process can be defined and given to them. Little bit different in Agile is that in Agile, the team will decide that process. Okay, the estimation of it, how do they want to do it within that selected priority. So once the priority is set and the product owner said that these 3 user stories are the top priority and the team has decided that yes, first we'll work on these 3 user stories, then they will decide that for this particular user story, which is the top priority, what are the tasks to be done? What are the activities to be completed? And when which activity should happen? What kind of tools, techniques we will be using? What templates we'll be using? Everything is decided by the team. And that is why it is called self-organized. So team is self-organized means team can decide on how to do the work. What to do is already decided by the product owner. How to do it is decided by the team. Right? Another responsibility is to write the acceptance tests for the acceptance criteria provided by the product owner for the product increments. Right? So when we're talking about product owner, we said that they will provide that this should be the criteria. If you are able to do all these 3 things, which means we have done everything required, I will accept the product. So team will not wait for the product owner to say that everything is correct or not. Right? Team will say we should internally also test whether everything is working fine or not. So team will create some acceptance tests, technical tests that the product should pass in order for them to say that yes, we have completed the product or the increment of the product. Right? So the team will write that acceptance test and they'll carry out the test, of course. Right? If they decide or if they observe that something is wrong, then they'll revise the product increments until the increment passes the test. Okay, so they will not only write the test, they will also test and ensure that the product that they have developed also passes the test. Another responsibility is to hold these retrospectives to continuously reflect on the processes that they are following, that they have created, and improve on it. See the difference. In traditional approach, we have processes that we follow. Right? It's a well tried and tested and verified process. We know that it will work and it works. But in Agile, because there are so many changes happening, so many new things would be happening, we don't know which process will work, which process will not work. So the team locally will decide their own process, they'll follow that process, and they will meet at the end of it once they have built certain increments for a retrospective. And they will discuss, okay, how can we improve further before we meet for the next retrospective. So whenever they want to do a retrospective, before they meet, they would want to discuss how can they improve in the next time period, and they will discuss that. And that is what is called retrospective. And in terms of all these meetings and everything, team will perform the iteration, which means team will complete the product. Team will conduct the iteration and release planning. They will also conduct the estimation. They'll also decide how it is to be done. All those things will be done by the development team. They will come together. They will plan. So when you think about the team, don't think about just a member. Think about the team as a collective unit. Okay, when you start thinking about a team member, then you'll say, okay, we are giving a lot of freedom to them, lot of free hand to the team. They will take us for a ride. But when you think not about the member, but about the collective team, that's when you will realize that one person can drive us, one person can take us for a ride by utilizing the freedom in a negative way. But when it is collective, the other person will stop them. Right? So collectively, the team would get a lot of freedom. They will self-organize themselves and they will build the product increment as required by the product quantity. That are the responsibilities of a development team. Develop the product, test the product, and ensure that it is ready for utilization by the user. Okay. Yes, Shabas, please go ahead. Your question.
Yes, thank you, Amit. I think you mentioned the team is self-organized.
Yes.
And the question is related to how the work is distributed among the team.
Team will decide.
Okay.
So team, everybody, let's say this is a meeting room. All the team members are standing here. Okay. And there's a board, there's a wall here. Okay. They will look at the user story and they'll say, okay, in order to complete this particular user story, they'll pick up the sticky note and they'll say, in order to complete this user story, what are the tasks we should do? And on a board, just right next to it, they'll write it down. Okay. That these are the things that we need to do. And at that point of time itself, people would volunteer that, okay, I can do this best, and they'll distribute the task. If there's a task that nobody wants to take, or if there is a task that is very easy and somebody wants to take, then the facilitator will come into picture and ensure that the distribution is proper and everything. But the team will collectively decide, distribute the task, and they'll organize themselves.
Okay, thank you. So basically, let's say if, for example, the how you say the whatever is the I mean the Scrum Master or the how you say the the supporting leader or the servant leader,
Agile coach, servant leader,
yes, agile coach, yes, whatever is that.
Mm-hmm.
So probably let's say if in some case, let's say he has been working as a kind of one of the integral team member
Mm-hmm.
in such kind of projects,
Mm-hmm.
and later on he actually accepted the role of the servant leader because he has the technical knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
and then he also has the capability to kind of act as a servant leader.
Yeah.
So then basically, if we follow this philosophy, that means he should not impose his views from the technical perspective on the team. Of course, he can put forward the suggestions,
Mm-hmm.
but when it comes to the distribution of the work, it will be still very much a kind of self-organized and then picked up by the team itself.
Yes, absolutely. He or she, whoever that product owner,
Yes,
Agile coach or Scrum Master is, they
Yeah.
can decide. They can decide to let it happen through the team. Okay, so team will do all those things. The Scrum Master or the Agile coach, they will not be taking the decision, even if they are technical experts. Okay, they will not get down to the level of taking decisions for the team. Okay, get down or get up doesn't matter. But what matters is they will not be taking decisions for the team. Okay, team will collectively decide. They can provide suggestions. They can help the team. Okay, so the way a Scrum Master or a servant leader works, which we will see in the next slide, but I'll give you a quick review of it or quick view of it, is that the way a servant leader works is a way a parent would work with their child. Okay, especially in terms of problem solving. If the child comes to you and they ask you what is 2 plus 2, Okay, you don't tell them that it is 4. Do you know the answer? Yes. Is there anyone who knows this answer better than you? Probably not. Right? You know exactly 100% sure that it is 4, but you still don't tell that answer to your kids. Why? Because you want your kids to know how to solve the problem. Right. So, yes, the team lead was earlier a gold medalist in whatever technology that was, and they did the best job. But they should now come out of it because now their role is different. Now their no role is not of a development team member. Now there's the role of a servant leader. Right. So now they should think like a leader. So what will they do? My time has gone. Your time has gone as a parent to solve these kind of problems. Your time is now to help people solve those problems, develop those problem solving skills. Okay, that's what the manager would do, and ensure that they don't impose a decision, they don't give a decision also. They help the team find out that decision by asking the right kind of questions. So what does the parent do? The parent says that you have 2 chocolates, your friend has 2 chocolates, how many chocolates both of you have? Then they will say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? They have learned this. Now when the next time it is 2 plus 3, they will not come to you. It is 5 plus 6, they will not come to you. Why? Because you have helped them understand the problem solving and you have developed their problem solving skills. With solving a simple problem, they can now solve a little bit more complicated problems also. Unless and until it is very complicated, they will not come to you again. And if they come to you with a very complicated problem, you help them solve that as well. Okay, without giving the answers. That's how we work. That's how the leaders work. That's how the project manager should work.
Yes, understood. Thank you.
Perfect. Yes, Sundar, you have a question, please.
Yeah, in this agile approach, how the monitoring and control will happen? Like it will be still the facilitator or their role. They need to look after the monitoring and control aspect, or again it will be an entire team. They will be discussing and tracking on the progress. And if they
It's the same thing with traditional also. In traditional also, the team does it. In agile also, the team will do it. Okay. Project manager is there to help in traditional and in agile both. If the team is not able to find out something, if the team is stuck somewhere, if the team has found out the problem but they're not able to solve the problem, that's when the project manager comes into picture and helps the team. Okay, it's the same way. The difference between traditional and agile is in traditional, it may happen only at the end of completion of something. Okay, that you are monitoring and you're checking. And the second thing happens is that you are always looking at a percentage calculation of something as a unit that you want to create. So you want to create something as 100%, and you want to check whether 20% is complete, 30% is complete, 40% is complete. So you always do a percentage calculation of checking whether it is complete or not. While in agile, the difference is that you're always looking at whether it is complete or not. It doesn't matter whether 20% complete, 30% complete, or 40% complete. So you're not looking at percentage completion of anything. You have broken down the 100 items to be done in 100 different items. And one by one, you are checking whether it is 100% complete or not. That's the difference in monitoring and controlling. Otherwise, who does it, how it is done, does not change in terms of traditional and agile. As soon as while we are doing the work, we should monitor, we should check whether everything is doing fine or not. As soon as we complete one unit of work, one component of work, in traditional and in agile both, we keep on checking whether it is proper or not. So how it is done, who does it, does not change. The only thing that changes is what do we measure. In traditional, we measure the percentage completion of work. In agile, we measure how many items are 100% complete, because 99% completion, 98% completion, 90% completion in agile makes no sense. I have a login page, but I don't have a button. I will not be able to log in. So that does not make any sense. Even if the team says that, okay, we have spent 6 months and everything is 99% complete, it's of no use. Okay, that is the only difference between agile and traditional.
Okay, one more question. This right acceptance test for the product increments, is it similar to the factory acceptance test we talked about? What all the tests will be performed to meet that acceptance criteria,
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
Okay.
100%. Acceptance is a very general term. It means the same thing everywhere. Okay. So now we will move to the next role, which is of a facilitator. Also, we discussed as servant leader. Okay. So as you can see, the role is of
Just one
facilitator.
question. That is regarding that information radiator, as you said. So is it basically for like for their own development for the development team only, or is it like for to like so that everybody can see how much work has been done? Because the
See,
product owner is
the
already
reason it is being displayed on the wall is for everyone to see. Okay. Now, when the team is doing the work, they have displayed their performance on the wall so that nobody comes and disturbs the team. Okay, how are you doing? What is the performance? Show me the report. Give me the report. This and that. All the things are gone. One thing. Second thing is that when it is on the information radiator, if somebody is passing by, they will be able to have a look at this and they will ask some questions. Okay, so the passers by will also be able to ask some questions which would help the team understand, okay, something's going wrong. We could not spot it, but this person has spotted it. Third thing is that anybody who wants to discuss the performance, we don't have to do anywhere else. Let's stand right in front of the wall and discuss the performance right here and decide what is to be done. So information radiator is a great tool for collaboration as well. So what you're saying is correct. It is not only for the team, it is for everybody. Okay, it
okay.
radiates information. That's why it is called information radiator. Okay. So now we will talk about facilitators, the servant leader role, and their responsibilities. As we discussed, the responsibility of a servant leader is to ensure that the process of providing the requirements and providing the product back is running smooth. Okay. So the facilitator's responsibility is to act as a servant leader to the delivery team, lead the team by serving the team. Okay. So what do they do? What do we mean by servant leader and everything? They will help the team in self-governing and self-organizing. Okay, nobody is checking, nobody is governing them, nobody is telling them what is to be done. Team is deciding that. Team is self-organized. The facilitator will help them become self-organized. See, your team members individually are technical experts. Okay, but when they work together, they may not be as good in handling conflicts. They might not be as good in deciding the priorities. Okay, and that is the point where servant leader comes into picture and helps the team in making those decisions. Okay, decision will be taken by the team. The servant leader will just help them. They'll also engage the relevant stakeholders. Okay, product owner, maybe somebody from customer side. There is a supplier, there is a vendor that we are working with. Those stakeholders and any other cross-functional teams. So the facilitator will ensure that they engage the relevant stakeholders. The product owner were responsible for engaging the external stakeholders. The facilitator is responsible for engaging all the relevant stakeholders, including the external stakeholders as well. Another responsibility is to ensure that the team understands what Agile is. They are able to understand the different Agile processes and practices so that they can decide which practices to be used. Right? So the servant leader or the facilitators are Agile champions as well. They have understood Agile and they help everybody understand Agile. That's why you will see a lot of questions in PMP where you will see that options are saying that you need to educate someone who don't understand Agile. So somebody said, look, I'm very concerned. How are you managing this project? You have not created any plan for the entire project. How would you do that? One option is saying that educate that particular stakeholder, educate the sponsor, educate the team. Right? So servant leader is an Agile champion, and they will champion the Agile with all the other people involved in the project as well. They also help the product owner in managing the product backlog, which we have already discussed. And they facilitate these meetings. All the planning meetings, reviews meetings, retrospective meetings are facilitated by the servant leader. What does it mean? It means that they ensure that the meeting is right on the agenda. We are not discussing about World Cup and World War and everything. We are discussing about the product in those meetings. We are discussing about the planning in those meetings. We are discussing about how do we improve in those meetings. Right? So they will ensure that the meetings are running properly as the way it should. And their also responsibility is to ensure that the problems that were raised during a daily stand-up meeting are solved. So what do they do? In the daily stand-up meeting, they will be standing in a corner. They are not participating. They are listening to the discussion that is happening within the team. The team is discussing what was the plan for yesterday, any problems if they are facing, and what is the plan for today. Individually, everybody will discuss about their responsibilities, their plan for the day. the servant leader, the facilitator, the agile coach, the scrum master, the project manager, they will just write down the issues. Okay, this person said this issue, this person said this issue, this person said this issue. They will not even seek clarification. Okay, because the daily stand-up needs to be completed in 10 minutes. After the daily stand-up meetings, the servant leader and facilitator will follow up for the issue. Okay, and according to the priority of this issue, will remove these impediments. Okay, that is what is meant by being a servant leader. Help the team, engage stakeholders, educate them about agile processes and practices, help the product owner, facilitate the meetings, and remove the impediments that your team members are facing. If you do all these things, you are a servant leader. Okay? So these are the responsibilities of a servant leader. So we have discussed the roles of product owner and the responsibilities, the role of product owner and the responsibilities, role of a development team and the responsibilities, and role of a facilitator and their responsibilities. If these three different roles work together well in Agile project, they will be able to manage any Agile project. Okay, that's the role and responsibility. This is how the Agile works.